1.5 centuries ago, civil war divided the United States of America. Yet in its wake, we would recover as one nation, indivisible. During the bloody year of his Gettysburg Address, President Lincoln chartered the National Academy of Sciences, comprised of 50 distinguished American researchers whose task was, as it is now, to advise Congress and the executive branch of all ways the frontier of science may contribute to the health, wealth, and security of its residents. As a young nation, just 7 years ago, we had plucked the engineering fruits of the Industrial Revolution that transformed Europe and used them to grow to the economic powerhouse of the day, when Americans had yet to embrace the meaning of science to society. Now with more than 2,000 members, the National Academy encompasses dozens of fields undreamt of at the time of Lincoln's charter. Quantum physics, discovered in the 20s, now drives nearly 1/3 of the world's wealth, forming the basis of our computer revolution and the creation, storage, and
bring the camera over this way.
And as we continue to warm our planet, climatology may be our only way to save us from ourselves. During the centennial of its charter, President Kennedy addressed the Academy membership, noting, "The range and depth of the scientific achievement in this room constitutes the seedbed of our nation's future. In this, the 21st century, innovations in science and technology are the primary engines of economic growth. Now, we must fulfill our intellectual duties as the dominant species of this planet. We must embrace the meanings, functions, and opportunities of science as a society. We must encourage the critical mind, demand evidence in the face of certainty, and sense falsehoods when they appear. These are the simple first steps to helping take the larger and harder steps solving humanity's grand issues. These are the simple building blocks for setting our nation on a course of scientifically literate populace with a scientifically enlightened governance, without which we all may perish from this beautiful earth." Thank you.
This is all right. I'm just going to introduce one of our sponsors, just really brief, about one of these follow-up activities.
Hey everybody, great to see so many people out there. I'm Sean Watterson. I'm the owner of the Happy Dog and Happy Dog at the Euclid Tavern. We are really happy because we get to partner with the Institute for the Science of Origins. Patricia and Glenn Starkman do this. It's a partnership between Case Western, the Natural History Museum, and IdeaStream. And they do great talks at both Happy Dogs. And one of the great talks coming up is our next speaker. You're going to hear from him today, but you're also going to hear from him a week from Monday at Happy Dog at the Euclid Tavern. His name's Emmett Jolly, so let's welcome Emmett.
And he's not going to speak now. He's going to speak today. This is Emmett, yay! You'll hear from Emmett in about a half an hour, but you'll hear his whole speech a week from Monday at the Happy Dog. Okay, and yeah, we're just keeping you on your toes there. Right? Yeah. Where are our volunteer folks? There we go. There's Chris. Chris and Leslie. Yes. All right there. Chris and Leslie have done an amazing amount of work putting together what's happening here today, and they've organized a couple hundred volunteers. And you'll see many of these volunteers out in these yellow shirts, right? They will be helping make sure you stay on the right route to walk. If you need anything, you ask one of the yellow-shirted volunteers. If it's something super important, you can ask one with the orange shirts, who will have the bullhorns. They'll also have walkie-talkies if anything happens. We have a nurse over here if need be. I don't think we'll need that. And the folks in the red shirts, you can ask for anything. Okay, and I also want to recognize Craig Epler, head of our business outreach. We love Craig. Great guy. All right, I want to, yeah, what? It's all good. Come on up. I didn't think you were ready. All right. I'm going to introduce our first speaker then. Leslie Swiatkowski. She's a graduate student in cancer research at Case Western Reserve University. She's chosen by Sockness to be featured on their poster about March for Science. It's fantastic. We love Leslie. We are very proud to have her as co-chair of our volunteer committee. Over the past 3 months, her leadership skills have blossomed. It has just been a delight to see. And it's my great pleasure to have played a small role in helping let her shine. She originally wanted to become an algebra teacher, but then she learned about the cell, and she thought that was just so cool. And she's decided to go into research. She's going to do research on cancer. And I'm going to hand it over to her. Thank you, Leslie.
Hello everyone, how you doing? So I'm honored to be the first speaker for today's March for Science Cleveland. I want to send a special thanks to all the organizers because this has been an exceptional experience. Working with these individuals is a prime example on how people from different backgrounds and experiences can unite and work together to have a successful event like ours today. I am Leslie Swiatkowski, a co-chair for the volunteer committee, a woman, a PhD student, and most importantly, Mexicana Americana. My father, mi papá, crossed the U.S.-Mexico border more than just a couple of times. He worked odd jobs so he could send money to his growing family in Mexico. It took mi familia more than a decade to obtain citizenship from an immigration reform back in the 1980s. A struggle that I can only imagine how my parents and my older brothers pushed through because I was born in the United States. Like most immigrants in our nation's history, we lived in a marginalized community. A community where Latinos couldn't dream of attending college. For me, that dream became a reality. It was made possible by having inspirational older brothers and a program called Metas, a community program in the San Francisco Bay Area that focuses on supporting Latinos to complete high school and enter college. Following my passion for science made that transition to success easier. When I took my first biology course in high school, I was taught to not accept the natural order of things, but instead to think and ask questions. Mi gente, Latinos, Hispanics, Chicanos, first-generation Americans, we must think and ask questions. We must take positions that can cause change to help better our nation and policies that affect us most. We must pay attention to those that surround science. It is unjust to neglect truths and prevent us from living healthy lives. It is unjust to take away policies that keep our water and environment clean. It is unjust to not give money to science research laboratories that are working hard every single day to find treatments and cures for deadly diseases. We can say science is woven into our everyday lives. We drive science. Diversity in science is essential. Great ideas can come from any place in the world, which includes countries outside of the U.S. or even within inner city neighborhoods. Great ideas can come from anyone, immigrants, first-generation Americans, even from families that have been here before the birth of the United States. Individuals from these diverse backgrounds have unique problem-solving skills that are critical for science. I developed mine by seeing mi papá, a now retired construction worker, build things for our home. He designed and he built. Mi papá was an engineer with only having a second-grade education. When I see problems in my research, I reflect mi papa's perspective, dedication, and resilience to find a solution. For science to be successful, there is a need for creativity and different perspectives. We must continue to enhance our efforts on encouraging individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds and communities to pursue a career in science. This movement has already started. National organizations like SACNAS are making sure that these individuals are supported and encouraged to become successful scientists. With these efforts, I foresee that in our future, our scientific community will prosper. Our nation will prosper. As I stand here right now and I look into the crowd, I see thousands of people from all backgrounds ready to fight and protect science.
It is, yes. That's all they need. Well, they have to get rid of wood.
Thumb up. So next we're going to have Dr. Aparna Ball, Medical Director of Community Integration and a pediatrician at University Hospital Rainbows Babies and Children's Hospital in Cleveland.
Good morning. For those of us in the science and health communities, we're more used to speaking with PowerPoints and laser pointers, so this is a different experience for me. But I'm really, really proud and honored and happy to be here with you today. I'm so grateful for all of you and the organizers for putting this together. As a pediatrician, Earth Day is really a perfect occasion, I feel like, to celebrate the contributions of science to our society. After all, stewardship of a healthy environment, which is essential for the health of our children, relies on scientific research, evidence-based policies and practices. For those of us in the medical and public health communities, we're accustomed to operating at the intersection between science, policy, and practice. We rely on basic science, clinical research, the open exchange of ideas, an informed public, and evidence-based policies to improve the health of the communities we serve. A few years ago, the Centers for Disease Control released a report estimating the impacts of a 20-year-old program to expand access to childhood vaccines. They reported that over the past 20 years, childhood vaccines had prevented 21 million hospitalizations, 732,000 deaths, hundreds of billions of dollars in direct avoided costs, and trillions of dollars in avoided societal costs. That is an incredible public health victory that's due to investment in research, evidence-based changes in our clinical practice, evidence-based policies, and most importantly, an informed public. And here again today on Earth Day, we're confronting another huge public health opportunity, and that is the opportunity to prevent the harms to health that climate change is already causing here in our community and all over the world. For example, here in our community, most of us know and love at least one child with asthma. In my practice, I take care of lots of kids with asthma. And just like with all children, I encourage kids to get active, play a sport, go outside, get out from behind your screen, and go have some fun. Well, the problem is that kids with asthma, who are doing what we want them to do in the summertime, they're outside playing, they're more likely to experience an exacerbation of their asthma symptoms on soggy days. That's already happening, and climate change is exacerbating worsening factors that contribute to poor air quality in our community, including surface ozone. That's just one example of how climate change already harms the health of children in our community. In fact, the World Health Organization estimates that 80% of the harms to health caused by climate change around the world are born by children under the age of 5. The good news is there's ample evidence we can do something about this. And that's why I'm thankful for climate science and public health research that can help us to understand and address climate change as one of the greatest public health imperatives of our time. It is critical to the well-being of our people and the strength of our societies to invest in scientific education and research and for sound science to inform public policy. And that's why I'm grateful for this community of wonderful sponsors and supporters. Our lives here in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio are immensely enriched by our strong science.
Very cute. Thank you.
Today supporting our March for Science, along with all of the citizens. I want to thank you for speaking up for the critical role of science in our society, which is so critical for the health of all of our people, but especially for the health of current and future generations of children. Thank you.
Good luck.
Isn't she fantastic? Such important work, such a fresh way to think about climate change as it impacts the children. This often gets lost. There is a curve back here that you want to be careful you don't just stumble on, so just be aware, look down when you're moving around. Also, we've been asked not to have signs along the edge of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Our next speaker, we have Dr. Evelyn Yates, the CEO and Director of the Cleveland Museum of Natural History.
Good morning. A special thank you to all of the organizers, to the individuals and organizations that have devoted their time and their creativity to come together for the Cleveland March for Science. But most of all, I want to thank all of you who have come here to stand for science. And we are all here because Cleveland science rocks. And this is not a march of scientists, but a march for science. We are here as scientists and artists and beer brewers and nature lovers. We are here as families, as parents and grandparents and children to say science is important to all of us. We are here to show support for the great science in our community, the research at our world-class universities and medical facilities, the major science-based corporations headquartered here, the growing tech and biomedical industry, and the students from preschool to graduate school who are the future of our community, and for the cultural institutions that invite everyone to join the adventure of science. And I will tell you that the March for Science is unique. There are marches in over 500 cities around the globe. But here in Cleveland, we have something very special. We are a community that understands the power of working together. No other city has forged the broad coalition of partners that have come together to orchestrate this march. A partnership that began with individuals who are passionate about science and has expanded to include major organizations representing every facet of science, from basic research to bald eagles to beer. And I want to add a little note. If you look behind me at Tower City, on the 12th floor, just to the right of the main part of the tower, there is a nest. And the female peregrine falcon is now sitting on 5 eggs. This is another species saved by science, and we are proud to have her here in Cleveland. So what has motivated activated more than 40 organizations, hospitals, universities, museums of science and museums of modern art, the orchestra, the aquarium, the library, philanthropic organizations, economic development associations, and businesses to join with a core group of individuals to take a stand for science. We are marching because we need to stop and remind ourselves and our community of the obvious. We are a science town, and science is essential to our lives today and even more critical for our future. We are here because we must support the science that keeps our lake beautiful and healthy, the science that fuels our economy, and the science that inspires our students and our entrepreneurs. Our presence here today, your presence here today, is an undeniable and very visible statement that we are a community that values science and its role in our lives and future. That we recognize the need to come together as a community to say that science is essential for informed decision making for ourselves, for our families, our region, and our country, and it must be supported. Thank you again for your willingness to come down here to take a stand for science, for your enthusiasm, your dedication, for coming together to march and work for science. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. She is just one of the greatest speakers. I would love to see her on television nationwide talking about science. I know she didn't have time to talk to you about her work today, which is fascinating. Our next speaker here, we have Dr. Hazel Marie from Youngstown. She is an engineer. Other places in the country you might have to look for a little while to find a woman as a chair of an engineering department at a university. Not here in Northeast Ohio. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
I am an engineer, but more importantly, I'm a science enthusiast. I still remember the first Thunderbird air show I went to and attended as a child. My dad was in the Air Force, and I grew up, spent my youth on Air Force bases, so I saw a lot of air shows. The awe and intrigue of the beauty of flight never left me, and so as a student who was told, you're pretty good in math and science, I was told that I should study engineering. So I thought, math and science, engineering, do I want to wear that cool hat and drive a train? There was certainly a connection between engineering and math and science, but I didn't know what it was. So the budding researcher that I was did the best thing that I could. I consulted a peer-reviewed, reliable source to get a definition of engineer. The young people here might not know what it is, but it was Webster Dictionary back then. Oh, yeah. That definition, an engineer, one who puts math and science principles into practical application, stayed with me, and the connection was there, but it was more than that. Now, I don't have to tell the scientists here what science is, but for my own edification, I will say that science starts with our physical world and seeks to develop descriptive models, scientific theories, scientific peer-reviewed, documentable theories that engineers then use. Engineering takes those models and theories and facts and develops physical models or engineering designs. We are forever linked, engineers and scientists, and let's throw math in there as well. As an engineer, I need clear, defendable, peer-tested scientific facts on which to create my engineering designs. Scientists and engineers do not have the luxury to take shortcuts. We do not have the luxury to use alternative facts. Never have, never will. That flight that that I enjoyed as a child. Millions and millions enjoy that flight today. It didn't start with the Wright brothers around 1900. It started with scientific principles established in the 1600s and 1700s with Isaac Newton and Daniel Bernoulli. A shout out to them. We have this as a historical fact to show how important support of scientific research is to the betterment of society, both philosophically and monetarily. Society has trusted us with medical cures that have saved lives, with weather predictions that have saved lives, with transportation designs that make international travel a day, not weeks, with telecommunications that instantly connect the entire world. Why are our motives, our importance being questioned today as if our calling and our purpose has somehow changed? Please, Columbus, please, Washington, hear us. Check your assault on the scientific community, because it is this very community that will be the backbone, the cornerstone of the solutions and the challenges of today and tomorrow. Therefore, along with you, I happily and enthusiastically stand and march today with the scientists, enthusiasts, and all who value evidence-based decision-making. Thank you.
Stand up for science! Stand up for science! Stand up for science! Stand up for science! Thank you so much. I'm directed to remind you that there are recycling bins for your cans and bottles and things like that around. And also, as you're marching the route, if you see something, put it in the trash can. Pick it up, put it in the trash can. We want to leave this place cleaner than when we came. Our next speaker is Paul Abbey, who's CEO of Holden Forests and Gardens, which is the largest, the 11th largest public garden.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, 11th largest public garden in the country. The Botanic Garden merged with Holden Arboretum, and this is the work of this man, who I will hand over the mic to now. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Cleveland. My name is Paul Abbey, and I am the President and CEO of Holden Forest and Gardens. And many of you may not know our new name, but I bet there are many members out there today that have been with us for a long time. 2014, the Holden Arboretum and the Cleveland Botanical Garden merged. We're now known as Holden Forest and Gardens. And with more than 3,600 acres of land and forest in Kirtland, we are a spectacular natural area, combined with the beautiful 10-acre Cleveland Botanical Garden at University Circle. We are the 11th largest public garden in the country. And yes, we are rooted in science.
All right.
We are very proud to have the opportunity to participate in the event today alongside some of our community greatest contributors to science. Data-driven science guides everything we do at Holden, how we manage our natural areas, to the educational classes we offer, to the work we do in the community. Between our two campuses, we offer more than 500 nature-based and science-based programs for adults and children each and every year. The goal of creating an army of environmental stewards that will help preserve our natural world for future generations. At our Arboretum campus, we've been conducting original scientific research for more than 25 years. Our research programs are making significant contributions to the scientific understanding of man's impact on forests and our natural ecosystem. And it has resulted in improved management and protection of this critical resource. Our research ecologists are collecting data from long-term research projects funded by the National Science Foundation, but looking at the chronic impacts of acid rain on soil fertility and forest health. Their work suggests that forests are more sensitive to environmental changes than we all previously thought. Our research staff directly collaborates with Case Western Reserve University, Kent State University, the Ohio State University, and we have partnerships with the U.S. Forest Service, Cleveland Metro Parks, to name just a few. We think it is our responsibility to train future generations of scientists. We offer a nationally acclaimed internship program for undergraduate interns each summer that uses the Arboretum grounds as a laboratory. We train graduate students in many areas of plant science, and we regularly make postdoctorate positions available. We also put on workshops for middle and high school students to pique their interest in plant-based science and make them aware of the diverse number of careers available in the area of arboriculture and community forestry. Our strategic vision calls for us to help create vibrant green communities and diverse native forests in the Great Lakes region, and we are committed to that change. An important effort we are undertaking right now is the Cleveland Tree Plan. As a core collaborator on the plan, along with Land Studio, Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, and the City of Cleveland's Office for Sustainability, we are committed to increasing the tree canopy in Cleveland, Ohio. This is a big deal. Our urban ecologist, Sandra Albro, and our community forester, Chad Klink, are lending their expertise to help community partners care for the trees in the ground now and select and plant the proper trees for long-term success. And on Arbor Day, this Friday, April 28th, I will be with Mayor Frank Jackson when he announces the tree canopy goal of the Cleveland Tree Plan to be achieved in 2040. Holden Forest and Gardens is totally committed and proud to help reforest our forest city. Thank you again for joining us today. We are super excited and pleased to be here, and we look forward to being shoulder to shoulder with you in the march today. Thank you.
All right. Next we have Dr. Emmett Jolly. The work of our keynote speaker, Dr. Jolly, is a great example of how basic research directly relates to the lives of millions of people around the world. His NIH-funded research focuses on understanding gene expression, gene regulation, and host invasion by the parasitic worm that causes schistosomiasis, which infects over 240 billion people around the world every year. Dr. Jolly is an associate professor in the program of biology at Case Western Reserve University and the Center for Global Health and Disease in the School of Medicine. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Tuskegee University. Woo! Another great old university, where he was Presidential Scholar and one of USA Today's top 40 national scholars. His PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology is from the University of California, San Francisco, where he trained under MacArthur Award recipient and National Academy of Sciences member Dr. Ira Hershkovich, and worked with National Academy of Sciences member Dr. Carol Gross. Yay! People here who know her. His leadership led to a proclamation from the governor of Alabama, his home state, and an award of leadership from the California State Senate. He was awarded the Ansurama Award for Science from the National Technical Association and was recognized in Who's Who, in Black Cleveland, and Kaleidoscope Magazine's 40 Under 40, and many other things I could go on about, but I know you want to hear him.
He's up there.
Good morning, Cleveland.
to be here today. I mean, look at these beautiful faces. Oh my goodness. I was so excited when I walked in. One of the first things I saw was a little kid who might have been 4 years old with a sign saying, "Science is real." Young protesters, old protesters, people who have never come out before to protest anything are standing up for science today. This March for Science is not about being liberal or being conservative. It's not about being a Democrat or being a Republican, being for the Green Party, being undecided. It is not about being an evolutionist or a creationist, but it is about a nation that has become the most technologically advanced nation because they supported, funded, and were listening to competent scientists in order to make policy. It is about the ability to understand and apply the most basic science elements to make a significant change in our American society. I have friends who are afraid to come out today. Scientists whose jobs have always been to be inside the laboratory, working and discovering, creating things for humanity, changing the way that we see the world, inventing new things. And yet these same people were afraid to come out because they were worried that it would affect their ability to do science. They were worried about coming outside and that it would all of a sudden politicize science. Well, let me tell you, to my friends, to my scientist friends who are still working in the laboratories, doing fantastic work, that it's about time that we come out and stand up. It is our responsibility to be able to come and to teach science to the world. We made a mistake. We've done great work, but we have to share this. We have to make sure that our children get educated to be able to understand the scientific process. You asked the question, how is it that a young man who worked in a cotton fields for 2 years in Alabama, who was the son of a janitor slash minister, all of a sudden shows up and becomes a professor at Case Western Reserve University? Science is for everyone. And we must defend science with every moment of every energy of our body. It is about real facts, not alternative facts. You want to talk about what impact science has had in our society? Let's start with something simple. There was a guy by the name of Alexander Fleming. He worked on bacteria, and all of a sudden, he saw a mistake. He contaminated his cultures, and he was about to throw it away, and then all of a sudden, he realized that for some reason, those bacteria could not grow around this contaminated fungus. Later on, he went and extracted that and identified something called penicillin. And that changed the world. Watson Crick, Rosalind Franklin, trying to understand the basic nature of humanity, the basic nature of genetics, and identified something, the structure of something called DNA. Because of that understanding, it has revolutionized the way that we think about medicine. All of a sudden, we use DNA in order to identify pathogens that are killing and affecting mankind. Herb Boyer was working in a laboratory studying a little bacteria that's found inside our gut called E. coli. What does this have to do with anything? Well, guess what? He decided he wanted to understand how the genes were turned on and turned off in this little bacteria. And then eventually he cloned the gene that was responsible for insulin. Herb Boyer changed the way we think about diabetes. It changed medicine so that we didn't have to chop up pigs in order to extract insulin from them, but we could make it using molecular biology. This morning when my little girl talked to me, we had a little conversation. I said, she called me on my cell phone. And you're like, I don't know what I really asked this question, why science is for everybody? Because all of a sudden I started thinking of my colleges in California who had to leave there for a quinceañera. And I'm here, called me daddy, I hope things go well. And all of a sudden, what do I realize? She just called me on this phone that took my voice, converted my voice from that to electricity. That electricity then made a radio wave, was then converted back the opposite way. And all of that is based on something as simple as science and physics. I strongly encourage my friends to step out, to come out and fight for what we know is right, to come out and stand up for more than just working in laboratories, which I think is important and critical, but to share this with the world. We stand up for a country that has lost its way because of an administration that believes that science is a hoax and that truth does not matter. We stand up for our children. We stand up for the one world that we have. We stand up for inclusion of thoughts, inclusion of people, and we reject ignorance. We stand up because an attack on science is an attack, is existential threat to the United States of America. We are not here because we want to. We are here because we have to. Because of that, this is why we march. This is why we march for change. This is why we march for intellect. And this is why we march for science.
All right. So we're going to march now. Yay! Everybody, there's a flag waving back and forth over there. Okay? That is the flag that's going to take us through the march pattern, right? So if everybody wants to start moving toward the middle of the street there, go that way. Follow the march, has that sign there. On your way back, if you would try to stay off the grass and not cut through, coming back to the square, we would appreciate it very much to everybody else. Thank you so much.